Hello, this is the first episode of Mystic Guidance. So I'm going to spend this first episode just introducing myself and explaining the purpose of these videos and what they're going to be about. So firstly, my name's Shannon, I'm 26, I live in London, and I wanted to start these videos to really share the journey that I've been on in the last 3 years or so and what I've learned. So it was about 3 years ago that I had what you might call an awakening, which was sparked by my boyfriend at the time breaking up with me. And when that happened, it was the worst thing that I could ever imagine to happen. Now, up until that point and since my mid-teens, I had battled with depression, anxiety, I'd often felt suicidal, I had an eating disorder. I'd battled with these fears around rejection and abandonment in my romantic relationships. So when that happened, it shattered my whole world, and I didn't really know what was real anymore. I'd always had these fears around abandonment and rejection in my romantic relationships, and then I felt like, well, these aren't just fears, this is real, this has happened to you, this is something that happens to you. And I felt like I had all this evidence for this proof, for this belief that I was carrying. And so through some kind of ray of hope and light, I started reading this book called The Power of Now. And while I was reading that, I realised I have two choices. I can suffer or I can heal. And when I say to suffer, I don't mean crying in the corner every day. I mean repeating the same negative cycles, continuing with the same harmful patterns of the mind, being consumed by the past, clinging to the future for some kind of salvation, continuing to not love myself, continuing to not believe in myself. And I had actually said to myself a few years before, you're just not going to be happy. You're just not a happy person. It's just not who you are. And you need to accept that. I didn't want to accept it anymore. I didn't want to continue to live that way. Unless I was going to die, I knew that I had to save myself. So along the way, I've done meditation retreats, I've drunk ayahuasca, I've taken psychedelics, I've done various workshops, I've been travelling for 2 years, and it's not that I think by doing those things you magically heal. I think it's the intention that you put into it. And my intention was, I want to come face to face with myself. I want to see the pain that is there. I want to unpick the beliefs that I'm holding on to, that I've accumulated through early experiences in my life. I want to see the root cause of that pain and overcome it. I'm not coming from a place where I think I'm fully healed and enlightened. I think it's an ongoing journey. And I feel that along the way I've gained some wisdom and perspective. One thing I really want to bring to these videos is to be as honest and raw as possible. I think a big problem in society is that we don't honour our feelings. We don't allow ourselves to feel what we feel. We feel like it shouldn't be happening. We think we should be fine all the time, and when we're not, we suppress it and carry on. We think others won't understand. When we're able to just be honest about what we're going through, we feel less alone, we feel connected and supported. We can be a mirror for one another for guidance, rather than judging ourselves and judging others. So one thing I really want to bring to this is to be as authentic and vulnerable as I can. Another thing I want to touch on is that humanity is rapidly evolving. Our consciousness is shifting. We are starting to view the world in a very different way. We're starting to question things, we're starting to question the government, the mainstream media, the criminal justice system, our approach to health, the way we eat, the way we have relationships. We are moving towards a more heart-centred way of being. The old systems and structures that were in place are slowly dissolving. But for this change to fully come into place, we have to change ourselves, we have to heal, we have to unlearn, we have to decondition ourselves. The majority of people on this earth are in some way depressed, anxious. They have unresolved trauma, either consciously or unconsciously. This is a direct cause of illness, disease, mental health issues, addiction. It's all rooted in trauma, which is stress. War, greed, violence, poverty, abuse, it's all a manifestation of this. It's a projection of the pollution of our minds, of our egos. On a positive note, humanity is starting to wake up. More and more of us are practicing meditation, yoga, we're working with the law of attraction. This new earth that we're inhabiting requires us to open ourselves up and pick apart what is not real and get to what's real. And the truth is, we can be at peace, we can love ourselves, we can spend our time and energy doing things that we love and that make us feel good. But it's about believing that we can and knowing that we deserve it, and that's often the hardest part. We live in a universe governed by the law of attraction, and that's the game you have to play if you want to truly thrive and be in your power. Now, to give a more solid example of what I'm going to be talking about, topics I'm going to cover are self-love, mental health, childhood trauma, relationships and soulmates, sex and masturbation, politics, mindfulness, the law of attraction, how to manifest what you want. I'm not going to plan it too much, I'm just going to flow into it each week. So please stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, give my Facebook page a like, Mystic Guidance Shannon Major, and thank you for watching.